Have you ever wondered how someone can go through something truly terrible and not only recover, but actually turn that pain into a force for good? Today, we're going to dive into that incredible journey from just surviving to truly thriving. And we'll unpack the mental toolkit that can make it all possible.
I mean, just listen to this quote from Kathy Audi, a survivor and an advocate. It really gets to the heart of what we're talking about. The journey out of trauma, it isn't just about fixing what was broken. It's about building something totally new. It's about finding a purpose.
That seems like a huge leap, doesn't it? Going from a place of deep personal pain to a position of public strength. So how in the world do you bridge that gap? Well, the answer, it turns out, often comes down to building the set of mental tools, piece by piece. Think of it like a very practical toolkit that helps you repair, rebuild, and then create. So come on, let's open it up and see what's inside. To really get the power of these tools, we first have to understand the starting point. And for so many people, that point is a moment of absolute crisis. Let's go back to Kathy Audi's story. Her journey started after surviving 3.5 years of life-threatening abuse and being stalked. But then, on top of all that trauma, something else happened. She felt like the very systems that were supposed to protect her just failed. And that feeling of being let down is such a critical piece of her story. The journey toward building that toolkit almost always starts right here, with a conversation. It's a moment of total vulnerability, of reaching out and just saying, I need help. And you know, that is often the single hardest step to take. Okay, so before you can use any tool effectively, you've got to lay down a solid foundation, right? Well, in therapy, that foundation is one thing: trust. They call this the therapeutic relationship. It sounds a little clinical, but what it really means is a genuine partnership. Think of it as the safe space where all the work can actually happen. And get this, studies actually show that the quality of this relationship is often more important for a good outcome than the specific techniques a therapist uses. So what's this foundation built on? First up, empathy. This isn't about feeling sorry for someone. It's about really trying to see the world from their perspective. It's when a therapist can say, I hear you, and what you're feeling makes sense. That validation is just so powerful. Next up is genuineness. This just means the therapist is a real person, not a robot reading from a textbook. They're authentic. And when their words and their actions all line up, it lets you see them as a partner you can actually trust. And finally, there's something called positive regard. All this really means is showing respect and not judging. It's about valuing what you have to say, no matter what it is. And that's what creates the safety you need to start exploring all the really difficult stuff. All right, so with that foundation of trust in place, we can start adding some practical, skill-based tools to our kit. This is where something called cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, comes in. So check this out. This is a core CBT tool called a thought record. It looks simple, but it is profound. You start with a situation, then you identify that automatic negative thought that just pops into your head. And here's the key. You're not trying to erase the negative thought. You're just working to create a more balanced, realistic response. The goal isn't to get the bad thought to zero, but to build your belief in a healthier one. That's a huge shift. CBT is all built around this really powerful cycle. Our thoughts affect our emotions, and our emotions drive our behaviors. Now, the big insight here is that it's really hard to just change an emotion on command. But what you can change are your thoughts and your behaviors. And if you can adjust one of those, you can shift the whole dynamic. Here's a classic downward spiral that I think a lot of us can relate to. It starts with a low mood. That feeling of depression or anxiety makes you want to just withdraw and do less. But by doing less, you cut yourself off from chances to have positive experiences, which then just confirms that original low mood. It's a vicious cycle that just keeps feeding itself. So how do you break out of it? Well, there's a tool for that. It's called behavioral activation. It's so simple, but it's so powerful. You don't wait until you feel better to do things. You do things to make yourself feel better. You literally schedule pleasant or meaningful activities to directly intervene and give your mood a boost. Okay, so we've got tools for our thoughts and tools for our behaviors. Let's see how they work together when you're trying to tackle something as common as anxiety. Anxiety has its own vicious cycle. You feel anxious about something, so what do? You avoid it. And in that moment, you feel this rush of relief, which feels good. But that relief actually teaches your brain that avoidance is the answer. It reinforces the fear, and it makes the anxiety even stronger the next time around. The toolkit also includes these fantastic in-the-moment skills for managing the physical side of anxiety. Things like deep breathing, which can directly calm your nervous system, or progressive muscle relaxation, where you tense and release different muscles to let go of physical stress, and even guided imagery, which uses your imagination to take you to a safe, calming place. So, let's bring this all back together. How does this toolkit, built on trust and filled with all these practical skills, lead to the kind of incredible transformation we talked about at the beginning? This is it. This is the whole arc of the journey. It can start in a moment of deep distress, simply reaching out for help. But with the right support and the right tools, that starting point can transform into a place of power, where you're no longer just a victim of your story, but you become the author of its next chapter. And for Kathy Audi, building these new skills and finding her voice, it wasn't just about her own personal healing. It gave her the confidence and the courage to actually testify before the Royal Commission into family violence. And because of her testimony, real systemic changes were made. And that right there is the ultimate transformation. Her focus shifted away from her own circumstances to the bigger picture. She didn't just find healing, she found a purpose, a responsibility to use her voice to create change for other people. So, as we finish up, I'll just leave you with this question. It doesn't have to be a big, dramatic step. Maybe it's just questioning one negative thought today. Maybe it's taking 5 minutes to listen to your favorite song. Or maybe it's just taking one single, intentional, deep breath. What's the first tool you would add to your mental toolkit?